How about this? And I think this is because of what the SEC likes to say, and they have been amazing for nearly 2 consecutive decades, but this year, not so much. They were good, but they didn't seem to have a team that was possibly great. Texas flirted with that. We didn't know about a couple of others. First time since that USC back-to-back and then lost to Texas at 05, not a team from the SEC in the national championship game for consecutive years. Now, that's a ridiculous streak. That's how good they have been. And they've won a bunch of those since that time. But first time, it's amazing that this year, when there was we should have more, we should have this, we, and I understand what Sankey's doing, but for back-to-back years, no SEC team in the championship game.
Yeah, bummer. Parity. That's just how it's going to be. Look, you give more teams more games, there's more chance to lose, which is why a lot of people didn't want this thing to expand all that much, because they know if you have more chances to win, that also means that you have more chances to lose. So that 50-50 makes it scary. It makes it harder to push your narrative of nobody else is on our level. Well, most people are. And look, the brands are going to be the brands, but I think it's great. And I think even though it's going to be brands, look, we're going to see most of the teams we see in this final game are going to be teams that you've seen in the final game before. There's 15 to 20 that will find their way in more regularly than the rest of the.
I don't even think it's that big of a number.
Yeah, I'm expanding that just because I think parity will have an effect on that. But you'll see teams that are more familiar with it than not. But you'll also occasionally see a team, just compare it to basketball, like Baylor, who has the perfect team and hauls off and wins it. You'll see that happen. But it won't happen a lot, but.
I don't think that happens maybe ever in football unless you've got a team who's got Texas Tech oil money and decides we're going to go spend $500 million on a roster basically. I think beyond that, to go the lengths of having to win 3-4 playoff games is going to be really difficult for most any teams not named Notre Dame, Ohio State. Just reel out the top 10 all-time blue bloods, and those will be the teams most well-equipped to do that. And you know what? Because it's just pay to play, maybe a rich oil alum at Texas Tech or someplace somewhere else, some software guy does decide we're going all in at Michigan State and we're going to go win a title. Maybe that happens, but just consistently I have a hard time seeing most programs being able to really truly go deep and compete in this tournament that aren't a very select few. And they're in this Final Four, or were, and 2 of them are still standing, obviously, in 2 of the biggest in Notre Dame and Ohio State.
TicketClub is a unique platform that aims to revolutionize the way consumers purchase event tickets. It primarily functions as a membership-based ticketing platform, offering a wide array of tickets to concerts, sporting events, theater shows, and other live entertainment events. The main distinction of TicketClub from other ticketing platforms is its commitment to delivering tickets with no service fees. Features and benefits of TicketClub. One of the most distinctive features of TicketClub is the absence of service fees. Most ticketing platforms charge service fees, which can elevate the cost of the ticket significantly. However, with TicketClub, the price you see is the price you pay. This translates to substantial savings, especially for frequent ticket buyers. TicketClub also offers a diverse selection of event tickets. From Broadway shows and music concerts to NFL games and comedy shows, TicketClub has it all. This diversity makes it an ideal ticketing platform for all entertainment lovers. Reliability and pricing. When it comes to reliability, TicketClub does not disappoint. The platform guarantees the delivery of authentic tickets on time for the event. In the rare case that a problem arises, the company promises to refund 100% of the purchase price. TicketClub operates on a membership basis. Non-members can still purchase tickets, but they are subject to small service fees. To enjoy the no service fees benefit, one can join as a member at a fee of $49.99 per year. However, certain groups, such as military personnel and first responders, can receive free memberships as a thank you for their service. Customer support. Customer support is a critical aspect of any business, and TicketClub excels in this area. The platform provides comprehensive customer support to ensure all queries and issues are handled in a timely and professional manner. Customers can reach out via phone or email, and the Help Center on their website offers answers to frequently asked questions. Unique features and benefits. In addition to the no service fees feature, TicketClub has a unique feature called the TicketClub Premier program. This allows members to earn points on their purchases, which can be redeemed for discounts on future purchases. This feature adds to the overall value provided by the platform and encourages customer loyalty. In conclusion, the introduction to TicketClub reveals a platform that is designed with the customer in mind. The no service fees policy, diverse event selection, reliability, competitive pricing, and excellent customer support make TicketClub an appealing choice for purchasing event tickets. Whether you're a sports fanatic, a theater enthusiast, or a concert goer, TicketClub is your reliable partner for event tickets.
Here's my thing. I think there's a lot to unpack with the whole SEC angle because that was very popular to talk about and parrot after the game. And look, nobody enjoys a nice pushback on Greg Sankey more than this guy. But at the same time, I think the anti-SEC can kind of swing too much the other way sometimes, and I'm having a hard time personally finding the right balance because I do think it's fair to throw some dirt on them because of all the talking over the past 2 decades, the humbling that was needed for a lot of their fans, and quite frankly, their commissioner. But at the same time, is it the end of the conference? Are they, is it the doomsday scenario? No, I don't feel that way. I still feel like we're going to watch Alabama and Georgia and probably Texas at some point break through and win national titles in the coming years. But there is a very interesting sort of thing being developed here when it comes to, the whole North is rising now, right? You heard a lot about the North and the South over the weekend like it was a civil war or something. Well, you kind of see that line drawn via NIL and just the changes to the sport and how that actually greatly benefits your Ohio States, your Michigans, your Notre Dames, not even taking into account the Notre Dame TV money the Notre Dame TV money they get on their own, but also the playoff money they're getting on their own. So there has been a little bit of a balance and a power shift more north. And I just am curious if this is a long, sustaining thing or if this is just kind of a blip on the radar for the SEC. I do know it's created a little bit of a panic. I do know it's created a little bit of like a what's going on here for the Paul Feinbaums and the, whoever else you want to fill out that list of the world. They're a little bit concerned about what's going on the last couple of years, guys. And I find that very interesting and also a very nice wrinkle to what we've been watching over the past several years. So I'm not sure if this is the start of the Big Ten winning like 5 championships in a row or winning 18 out of the next 20. I highly doubt that. But I do know if there are any schools that could benefit even more greatly than the SEC schools could benefit from all that happened, it was gigantic powers with the biggest fan bases possible in teams like Michigan, teams like Ohio State, teams like Notre Dame. And so it is very interesting to see kind of this shift going on, whether it's temporary or not. I totally understand everybody getting their shots in, especially when the conversation about 3 weeks ago was how they got screwed. Bama deserved to be in. South Carolina deserves to be in. Ole Miss deserves to be in. And they're not going to make it to the championship game. So very interesting how that all, transpired. And most of all, I guess my biggest takeaway from this that I do know for sure is that I'm glad that's why they play the freaking games and we don't play the what-if game every year. I'd much rather have the expanded playoff and actually see who does get there rather than saying, oh, well, they deserve it because, that logo on their chest. Yeah. You actually have to go play it on the field, and that's what happened, and maybe that's part of the reason why it's shifting a little bit.
And a lot of reasons, and no matter, he would not admit this, but I think we even discussed this, and I want to get to a lot more, but it's the national championship game. It's independent Notre Dame against the Big Ten's Ohio State after the Big Ten's Michigan won it a year ago. Is that the more teams you get in among the 12, well, the more opportunities you're still going to just landslide and just shove your way to a championship. And that's also one of the reasons. I never really heard Petitti ever say much about that. I never really heard him with too many of those quotes. Sankey was very brash, arrogant at times, hell of a commissioner, does what he's supposed to do, but I haven't seen much from him. Maybe when they start talking about making changes, he'll be front and center. You mentioned the North.
Well, I would say with Petitti, he got Indiana in, he got Ohio State in, and he got Oregon in, so he didn't really – Penn State in.
Ohio State.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So he got like 4 teams in there. I think
but you never really heard him.
Yeah, you know why? That's why we like him better. He just let it fall where it may, and then he can be like, look, I don't have to say anything. I don't have to go around on every television network and take a dump down the ACC and Big 12's throats because I want to pretend like I'm better than them. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing. If Greg Sankey did everything else almost exactly the same and stopped that part of it, I would get it. Like, okay, you're supposed to advocate for the SEC, but doing so at the absence of truth is where it gets me mad. Yeah. Because that's where it's meant. Tony Mattini's just like, all right, look, we had 4 teams
Well,
in.
he always said that we're talking about it, or I don't believe. I think he also believes the same theory. He just didn't like say, hey, we are bigger, better, faster, stronger. Everybody knows that those 2 conferences. Well, Notre Dame is in. Ohio State is in. We're going to have some former players. Last time, Northern schools won back-to-back college football championships. This is exciting for me and yet also sad. That was 30 years ago. Is that right?
Yep.
Nebraska's dominant run in 94, 95. They also won it in 97. The last time 2 different northern schools won consecutive national titles was 1976, Pittsburgh, Tony Dorsett and company, and 1977 Notre Dame with what they had, the Browner brothers and Montana. Was it Montana? I think it may not have been Montana. And they beat Earl Campbell and Texas in the Cotton Bowl 38-10 in a dominant win that year.
Yeah. Would Nebraska be a northern team or a Midwestern team?
I think they're Midwestern.
Yeah,
I think they're Midwestern.
But I mean, they're northern, they're northern
south. How about
they're
that?
south.
They're
That's
north
for
of Mason-Dixon, though, right?
Yeah, yes, they are. They are north of the Mason-Dixon line. And yeah, I mean, again, you expand the thing out, like you're going to get more people. And look, Ohio State's been knocking on this door for a long time. Anyway, eventually they were going to be in the championship game again. So I think the bigger surprise is that Notre Dame navigated through this without, the last time they got in, it was just 2 teams, right? So that they made it through all that with and getting in. I think it's the bigger surprise about that. And the northern thing now, especially with the way that recruiting is, I think that's kind of going away because most of your brands recruit nationally anyway. And you look at Ohio State, their best receiver is from Florida. Quinshon Judkins is from Louisiana. You can go on down. They're recruiting the South really well. Jaden Greathouse is from Austin. Riley Leonard's from Fairhope, Alabama. So they kind of have national recruiting bases anyway.
Well, yeah, they do. But there's still, we understand the talent and how much of it is in the South, Southeast. But you never know when one of these things might flip. The SEC might win 7 straight after this. Well, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think it's a very small sample size to react too much to it, but I do think it's enough of a sample that we haven't had in a really long time for people who've been waiting for a blip in the action that was kind of consistently just all focused on one area of the country, for that to shift, for that to get changed up. And so right now is that time, and it may be fleeting. It may just be these couple of years, and the next year Alabama's back and Georgia's back and Texas is back and so on and so forth. But maybe not. Maybe this is just the start of a new trend because things come and go. And the SEC has dominated for 20 years. The passion's not going to get any smaller. The fan bases aren't going to get any smaller. The money's not going to get any smaller. The TV interest isn't going to get any smaller, so they're not going anywhere. But, there's a lot of conversations, and you're repeating some of the points, both of you, from stuff I saw over the weekend about the northern schools and this and that. But it is a different world of college football from when their streak started in the early 2000s. The expanded playoff does matter because Notre Dame – probably not in this thing, right? Ohio State's not even in this thing in the 14 playoffs. So, just the fact that these teams have a shot, and it's not just who was basically sitting there with only 2 blemishes at the end of the year. Now it's you can have 1 or 2, but you still have to earn your way here. There is something to be said about that, and that not just, they've got this many top 25 wins. They deserve it. You actually have to go out and play the game, and that's what's been fascinating about this year is I don't think most people would have predicted Notre Dame, Ohio State. Ohio State, yes, Notre Dame, not so much. But when you started the playoff, I don't think you would have predicted a couple years go by with no SEC team in the championship game. But here we are. So, yeah, it's interesting to talk about. It's interesting to theorize on whether this is the start of something or it is just a blip on the radar. But it is a refreshing it's a breath of fresh air, I think, for a lot of college football fans who have been kind of sick and tired of the over-the-top kind of beating of the head of the SEC dominance. And so if you were getting fed up with that or annoyed by that, like this is the best thing in the world because now you can watch the national championship game and not be worried about yet another title going to the Southeast. But I do think that can get overplayed a bit. I also don't understand why. Like, you've only had so many moments to really be able to pick at those folks and point and go, ha, see? And this is one of those very few moments right now.
That's why they play the games. The hypothetical champion could be somebody you want it to be, like Lane Kiffin or Ole Miss or someone like that.